Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it is Wednesday with a fun 9-game slate to choose from here in the NBA. In this one, we are going to be talking about the marquee matchup in the East that we've got here. The Nets are playing the Celtics in Boston. Also got another game video up for you and our player props. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com. You can check out everything we're talking about there and more on thelines.com and use that odds finder tool that we have there for you guys. That's where we show you all the offerings on those US sports books, giving you guys NBA bets this season. You can make sure you're getting the best odds on everything you're betting on. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into this big slate for Wednesday night and then talk about our games, Celtics and Nets.
Yeah, a lot of things to choose from here. We got Magic +9 at the Sixers, immediate rematch there. Embiid is questionable, so is Wendell Carter. The Wizards -6.5 at the Pistons. Blazers +5 at the Grizz. Steven Adams is out. Desmond Bane is questionable there. Nets +8.5 at the Celtics. We'll look at that game here. Warriors looking to gain some more momentum on the road. -3.5 at Minnesota. 238 total. 244 total in San Antonio with the Kings visiting. Kings are 8-point favorites there. The Thunder, we're actually going to break down a Thunder game here today. -5.5 at Houston. Houston's got to be without Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. So Raptors +3 at Utah. And then it closes with the Hawks +1.5 at Phoenix. Good Lord, don't make me pick a winner there. But yeah, Nets, Celtics, I don't know if I'm leaning towards the spread as much. I will certainly lead by saying I'd rather, per usual, take the road team to cover lately than take the Celtics to win by double digits at home. They've had that target on their back. They are now 4-8 against the spread. Their last 12 is home favorites. And a lot of these have been really close. They've been losing to the Knicks. Overtime with the Lakers. LeBron certainly feels they should have lost. If there was video review on that, or if the Lakers had saved their challenge, they would have. And you know, it's a rivalry game, and I'm hoping this total will get bet down a little bit. It's at 226.5 because these teams played. It was the first game without KD. And it was another low-scoring bruise fest, 109-98 win for Boston. The previous one, even with KD, was even lower scoring. But that was a Sunday afternoon game. You guys know how we feel about those. Since then, the Nets have picked it up, and it's not been because of their defense. It's been a Kyrie Irving-led team, and that means we're going to just be extremely efficient on offense. They are, in their last 6 here, the number one three-point shooting team by a mile, 46% from deep. They have a 128 offensive rating, and their games are averaging 240, 122, giving up 118. Their defense, which in the areas they've been bad all year, is even worse. 25th in free throws allowed on the year. Now they're 30th in the span. 27th in offensive rebound. Now they're 29th. And 26th in opponent three-point percentage. That has stayed steady. So Boston, their offense has been dropping badly in this last 6 year. They've still been scoring a lot because they had those overtime games with the Warriors and the Lakers, whatnot. And that Knicks game went to overtime too, right? Yeah. But I think this is a get right spot for them to get back to scoring at home. Their usual. I mean, even in this late struggles in January, they're scoring 119 at home and leaning on free throws, which I just mentioned. The Nets are dead last, giving up right now. They're still 3-2 to the over in those home games with that Warriors game that barely went under because of the overtime. And you look at when they have a little extra rest, the last 7, they've at least gotten to 227 with every opponent. That's 7 of 8 situations on the year. And a lot of those games are against like Miami, Cleveland, Chicago, not necessarily teams you expect to try to get up and down and score a lot. And the Nets are capable of playing that way. Before these two slugfests, I mean, it was before Jacques Vaughn, so that's a big disclaimer, but it was a 126-120 game. Tatum dropped 54 on this team. I think maybe it's a get-right spot for him because no Ben Simmons, no TJ Warren, along with KD. There's no big wings, really. The Nets are trotting out Joe Harris, Seth Curry, and Kyrie at the same time. And that's just like barbecue chicken on the other end, right? When you have Jaylen Brown, Malcolm Brogdon, Tatum as your three wings on the other end, Celtics are going to score a lot here. I think they're going to get right. They're going to do their part. And I think, we argued a little bit about Kyrie 30 points over under. I mean, he was going to cruise past that if the Lakers were competitive in that last game for the Nets. I know he struggled against the Celtics, but no Marcus Smart. I do think he scores enough to keep this one close. He certainly loves being the villain, and he's got some notable road home splits this year, averaging 30 on the road with a 125 offensive rating and carrying this team right now without KD.
Yeah, he's carrying them for sure. The margins, though, are still there for what I'm talking about here. I mean, it's 29 and a half, 30 points a game, and he's got to get 31 tonight. I know that's pretty much where we're at. So we're saying that's where his prop is at. You talk about, sorry, you kicked me off with Kyrie, so I'm starting off with Kyrie. But in his last 4 against them, right, we talk about 19 points a game or so. I know it's a slightly different situation, but he did play one of those without KD, I believe, as well a couple years ago when he was missing some time. KD had like a month stretch where he missed as well, but. So, I think the whole sort of revenge narrative, it's gone. I mean, there's not much there for it, for Kyrie. And that's why I think, he kind of exploded a few times against the Celtics after he left. Now, he's been coming back, and it's just not the same. He did fail to go under 30 last time. I think the Boston defense, that's just the Boston way of playing in their last 6 games or so, which I don't know what you want to do with that. Marcus Smart missed most of those, so there's probably something to that, right? In terms of what's been happening, but it's just the fact that they're better on defense now than they were when Marcus was in there, and they're worse on offense than they were when Marcus was in there. I don't think I want to make that direct correlation. That's kind of my point, and he's the only notable missing guy consistently right now for this team as he tries to work his way back. But the last 6 games, 3-3, but just sloppy. And yes, there's been a number of overtimes, like you said, which is why there's been some high totals for the Boston for the Celtics team here. But in their last 6, 4th in opponent field goal percentage, 6th in opponent 3-pointers made and 3-point percentage. They're 4th in limiting free throw attempts. They're 9th in limiting assists. Still not the best rebounding team in the league, but not the worst either. And then their offense is just the opposite of what it's been. 5th, they're down to 28th in assists per game, where they're 5th normally on the season, making the most assisted 3-point field goals. 35.8% from deep, only about a few percentage points worse than their normal on the season, but they're just making a few less as well than they do on the season. I mean, that's going to be their offense no matter what. So I think you're fine in sort of assuming that threes are going to be taken, and threes are going to be made at least at, like, let's say 12 to 13 of them are probably going to be made, even on a somewhat off night for this Celtics team. So what are you doing around, the rest of everything? I would also say Yuta Watanabe, he's likely to play, but there's a few other guys that might miss some time as well for Brooklyn. They're just so thin right now. And you talk about with Simmons out as well, like, who's guarding these wings? This could be Jaylen and Jason's time to sort of come out of whatever shell they've been in a bit over the course of those last 6, like we were talking about here, and maybe just go get those free throws. You want to see Tatum attack a bit more. That's when he's at his best. We know what he can do from deep, but when he's working within the system of the offense as opposed to sort of getting those ISO balls, then that's when they're a lot better, in my opinion. The lack of assists that they've been having over their last 6 is a huge reason for that. So I would be surprised if if Missoula is not talking about that in terms of the way that they're moving the ball right now, especially because if they're going to get free throw attempts against this team like the way that the Brooklyn hemorrhages them, that's just going to continue to lead to stoppage of that clock and the ability for some more points. Obviously, the pace sort of scares me a little bit for Boston because they've been playing a lot slower in their last 6 as well. It's just been sort of more of their defensive style. I don't really maybe it's because of the way they've been playing mostly teams, at least the Knicks and the Lakers, teams that play super fast, right? And teams that are getting up and down and scoring a lot of points right now. So there's something to that effect for why, they sort of wanted to slow it down against those teams. They didn't even really do it effectively. So I guess my main point in terms of game theory here for the total is I just prefer to take the Celtics, to be honest. I do think they're going to cook in this one. I think they pull away in the 4th. I know Kyrie's been scoring the most points in the 4th quarter this season, but you saw last game as well. He kind of got shut down, which was a big reason why I think, shut down. He wasn't really needed in the 4th quarter, but and that's probably a bit of a reason for the under as well, but they're still getting to 121 without him getting to 30. So either way, I think that the total is just a bit more fair than I'd like to touch it right now. Like you said, I'd like for it to even like go up a bit and and then feel better about the under at like 230. So maybe there's a teaser in there to get it to 230 if you want it, but I feel good enough about Boston in this one that I'm not scared by the 8 points.
So I think we can agree on Boston team total then, based on our analysis of this, that the Nets just aren't stopping them right now, and it's a get right spot for their offense. It's just a question, are the Nets going to come along? Are they going to continue to hit threes at a ridiculously high clip, which in their last two, they've hit 38 and taken 81 threes, and those two key without Ben Simmons, right? So it's much more of a 5 out or 4 out with Claxton, and they're getting looks because nobody can really check Kyrie one-on-one. And the Celtics can't without Smart. I mean, if Brogdon's playing, I mean, maybe if Derek White is playing more, they can defend Kyrie a little bit better. But Brogdon is not going to be able to lock him up. I mean, he's an unbelievable talent. Say whatever else you will, but and he's just, like I said, he's pouring on the hate on the road. He just doesn't even seem interested when they play at home. But this spot in Boston, nothing would fire him up more. That's why I would be terrified to take under 30 points. And why I think he does do enough to keep them relatively close and keep this one entertaining.
Well, maybe it's a good moment for me to remind everyone that we basically went 100% last night. I think maybe Terry Rozier got a few more rebounds than we expected, and that was one little bet that didn't fall through. But my point here to say is that start that we had to the week last night in player props was predominantly due to Nate, and I'm going to follow him on this one, even though I like a Kyrie under a bit. My boy's sizzling right now, so I will I'll maintain I'll keep my Kyrie bet to myself for now. And that is all the time we have for you guys. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Check out the other couple videos we have for you today, including those player props. And until we see you next, happy betting.